Hey YouTube, I'm Coach Dragonmar and welcome to a new guide. Today we'll be looking at improving your game sense through what I believe is the easiest and quickest way, which is better minimap awareness and usage. Now, in the background, you'll be seeing footage of one of my coaching students, and I'll be using this Omen gameplay to point out examples of what I'm talking about when it comes to minimap awareness. Now, if you are interested in being coached by me, make sure you check out the options on medify.gg/@Dragonmar for short-term or long-term coaching. And if you're stuck and looking for help, I've definitely got you covered. If you have any questions about coaching, just DM me on Discord. Otherwise, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more guides like this, and please enjoy the video. All right, guys, so jumping into the video, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. So I want to break this up into specific parts. First, we're going to talk about what Gamesense is very briefly. Then we'll go into why it's important to train certain aspects of Gamesense, why it's hard to train those, and the classic mistakes that people make and misconceptions that people have. And then we'll be getting into sort of the meat and the potatoes of the video, talking about better minimap awareness and usage and why it actually will change how you play and make you a much smarter player, as well as all of the examples and the times I want you to use your minimap and how I want you to think about it, so that you guys can improve that game sense to the point where it can make all the difference in your games. Now, to start things off, let's talk about what game sense is. So game sense is everything outside of your mechanical aim. And in my opinion, this even includes things like crosshair placement, right? So if you remove the mouse from how you play the game, that's essentially your game sense. It's everything else that follows. So this can include things like your map knowledge, communication, callouts, teamwork and trading, positioning, lineups, post plants, setups, executes, ability usage, and their understanding, right? The list just kind of goes on and on. So why is it important to train? Well, it's how you make smart plays. It's how you separate yourself from every other player. But then why is it hard to train? And what's the big mistake here? It's that training your aim, training your mechanical skill is so much easier because of things like aim trainers. People don't want to sit and do VOD reviews. They don't want to watch, streamers and pros and YouTube videos all day, right? It's just easier to do the opposite, right? But then you wouldn't be able to make plays like this. For example, right here, Skydog sees me. I'm in a 1v1. I hear him drop out. Easy paranoia through the wall, teleport, kill, right? A simple play. But right here, I always had a plan in this, right? This is me using my experience. It's using my map knowledge. It's using my positioning. I don't actually love what I do here to start, but I'm able to salvage this because of my understanding of my abilities. I know that the paranoia plus shrouded step timing that I used was going to make it so he's completely deaf. I can get to a completely new angle and take a free kill on him. And that's how you win these clutch rounds. Now let's take another look at another example from one of my recent games, right? A 4v2 turns into a 2v2. I get the kill onto Brim through the wall. The molly from Brim kills my Sky. I don't think a bad fight here. This is just a bad fight. So what do? I reposition. I say, I have some stuff to work with. Let me play some time. I'm going to go for a fake shrouded step. I'm going to weasel my way around this site. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be very, very careful. I'm going to play quiet. I'm not going to make any noise. I hear the footsteps and look where he's looking. You guys see that? Do you see where this guy's aiming? He thinks I shrouded stepped into garage because he heard me do it and he didn't see the location, right? And this again, this is the game sense. This is what I want you guys to train. And today in particular, we're going to be talking about how to use the minimap to make these type of plays so much easier. All right, so how does better minimap awareness and usage change how you play? How is it actually going to make you a better player to be able to make these type of plays or plays similar to this? Well, the simple answer is that players who don't check the minimap enough are generally not aware of everything happening in the game. If you guys ever feel lost in your games, chances are you have poor minimap awareness. You're not getting all the info from your minimap, because the big problem at lower ranks, as we all know, is there's not enough communication. Communication is pretty much the only other way you're going to get information from things that you can't see. So if you can't see them, you might be thinking, well, how am I supposed to know if my team won't tell me? But the truth is the minimap will, because a lot of times those things are going to pop up on the minimap. And generally what we're talking about is either your team location and their team deaths, or the enemy location and enemy deaths. These are the two very, very vital parts of the minimap, and about what we learn from it that can really, really help us choose where we play on that map and how we position ourselves moving forward, as well as so many other important things. So with that being said, now I'm going to start giving some examples of times where I want you guys to start checking your minimap more and why it's going to help. All right, so getting into times to check the minimap, essentially what this means is something is going to happen And then now you should check the minimaps. This will give you guys some good concrete examples. So first and foremost, we got the easy stuff. If an enemy dies, check the minimap. If a teammate dies, check the minimap. You want to see where this happened, who's around, who's alive, and what's going on in that area. That's going to really, really help. Now, next, ability usage. Things like flashes, mollies, nades. If you guys see an arc of those things flying through the air, chances are someone on your team might have spotted that player. You might be able to see where they threw them from. Next is a good one, ultimate usage. If you guys see a Killjoy ult, a Fatal, or a Breach ult, you guys know that wherever those ults originate from, that is where those players are. That can give you some really good info, especially when we get to those later parts of rounds where there's only a couple people alive. But on top of that, we have other things like sound cues, right? Gun drops, spike drops, footsteps. These audio cues are massive. Sometimes you'll be able to locate where these players are based on the audio cue, and then you can check to see if your teammates are around them. So you might not see them physically with a spot on the minimap, but you might know exactly where they are and see who can help you and how you need to move forward, right? Then you've got things like your teammates communicating to you. So whenever your teammates are coming across the map, check your minimap, see what they're seeing. See if you can get any info, if you can see how many players are spotted, because they might not call it out perfectly. And then we got the easy ones, right? Rotating on defense. Come on, what else are you doing but looking at your minimap? Check it, make sure you know what you're getting into when you're doing your rotate. When you're reloading, I mean, guys, like, your gun's not out. You need to do, shoot someone with your mind, look at the minimap, take a quick glance, see what's going on. When you're holding abilities, you know, for me in my smokes, or when I'm holding a paranoia, maybe, you know, on other agents when they're looking to pop flash for teammates and stuff, you know, Sova with his dart out, like, what else are we doing? Look at the minimap. Or just times in general where you're held off by abilities, whether it's a molly or you're sitting behind smokes, you know, use your peripheral vision to make sure no one's in front of you as long as you're relatively safe, but check the minimap with your eyes, right? And then finally, like, things like planting the spike. When again, you're completely out of the play, you're doing something entirely different, you're planting a spike, check your minimap, see what your team is finding so that you have a plan moving forward. Remember, all of these things are times for you to check the minimap, and there's so many more that I can't list here because I just go on and on forever, right? But this is valuable information that you might be missing if you don't check the minimap enough. So those were more so like when to check the map if something happens. Now I want to think bigger picture here and explain like important times of the game to check the minimap, okay? There's a couple very, very big ones here. The first one is when you're entering into sites, specifically doing something like an execute. Even if you're not the duelist player, the duelist or whoever goes in first is going to get you a ton of information available on your minimap. They're going to get the first spots. They're going to be taking the first fights. And because of that, you need to check the minimap to see what's happening. Now, most of the time, there might be a smoke down, meaning you're going to be relatively safe, and that's a perfect time to check the map. So on every execute into a site, as a non-duelist player in particular, you guys need to make sure you're looking at that minimap before you go in. There is no excuse not to do that. And kind of in that same breath, we can talk about retaking sites and post-plant defenses. Again, that time of the game when spike is down, my friends, the minimap is your go-to. It's your best friend. It's essentially a sixth teammate, right, at that point. I see so many mistakes in coaching of players who do not check their minimap on post plants enough. They miss valuable information from teammates who are spotted and dying on sites. They go into the site and then they make the same exact mistake a teammate did. So when you're rotating over on a post plant to go retake that site, the enemy team planted, you got to go defuse it. Look at your map while you're rotating. Try to figure out where your team is, who died where, and to what player. That information is going to be available. And remember, this is where those cues we were just talking about really matter. Because sometimes the site's going to be lost so fast. If you weren't paying attention to the minimap, you're going to have almost no information. So another very important thing there. That's why it's so important to check it off of these different cues that happen in the game. But the same thing goes for post plant, right? When you're defending, you're looking at your minimap. You're trying to identify crossfires. You're trying to identify safe positions to play, where the enemy team can come from. If you have trips down on the flank, you know, all that kind of stuff is so valuable, and it's all on the minimap, right? This is how you take your game to that next level. You don't rely on communication. You don't rely on just individual performances. You use that brain, you look at the map, and you figure out where you need to be and where you need to play. This is how you solve that feeling of being lost. It's by using your minimap properly. And now some of you might be asking, what do you do when you're in a game situation and you know, you're holding an angle or you're peeking something, and how do you check the minimap with doing that? Because I know a lot of people will tell this to me, oh, you know, I check the minimap too much, I think, and I get caught for it. Well, this is where I've sort of developed my own style of holds that I like to use, right? So I'll tell you guys, never hold static, right? Never stand still like this in a corner and just kind of wait for someone to walk around the corner. What I do is I'll always be moving like this, right? Always going in and out using A and D to strafe. So I strafe while I hold. But let's give an example of this, right? So in this position right here, I'm in lamps or U-Haul, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to be holding for an A main push as we do, right? This is one of my favorite positions to play. So I'll be holding here. I'll be peeking out around the corner, trying to take a fight, trying to see if anyone's there. Now, the big thing here is that what I do is when I need to check the mini map, I'll go a little bit wider, really check, and then I'll come back for a second, hold, look at the map, then go right back out, right? Just like this. So as I go in and out, I'm constantly looking at the mini map, right? And that is what allows me to get that great info from that top left corner without sacrificing myself or my positioning, because I'm going out here to clear, going back into safety to check, back out to clear, back into safety to check, as you see. And it works anywhere where you're relatively safe around the corner. So do it here, back out, okay, in, I'm checking, okay, back out, I'm gonna come back out and clear, and back in now, right? And you can go a little deeper if you want to be extra safe, make sure no one's walking up on you. But that's how I hold in general to check my mini map. I'm always going in and out of cover. When I'm out, I'm ready to take my fight, I'm engaged. When I'm back in, this is when I'm safe and I'm checking the map. And guys, at the end of the day, if I made this sound easy, it's because it kind of is. Essentially, as long as you're smart about where you're checking your minimap, you're not sitting out in the open, you're not in the middle of a gunfight, I think you're going to be relatively okay. Remember, you're checking it off of certain cues that happen in the game, whether that be deaths, callouts from your teammates, ability usage, whatever it may be. And then also during certain situations, whether it's during entries, post plants, retakes, or rotates, right? Those are all times when you want to be checking that minimap very much exclusively. Now, outside of that, you also want to be checking it while you're holding. Don't think just because you're holding an angle, you can't look at your map. Make sure you incorporate that type of strafe holding and that jiggle peeking that I was showing you as a way to hold positions while still being, able to check the map, right? Because it's very, very valuable and you lose a lot of good information by not checking the map. Remember, in the start of this video, I said, if you guys feel lost, well, this is probably why. And hopefully through what I was able to show you today is going to help you guys. Now, remember, if you have any questions, you can always ask them in the comments, come into my Discord, or hey, sign up for coaching if you want. But with that being said, this is where we'll end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy and peace.